Thank you, Lego, for actually, like, I don't know, doing your job. This is great. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. There's been birthdays, work, and celebrating other people getting work. And on that note, this is something that I picked up from my brother. He just became a certified IB teacher, so I thought we should celebrate that with something fun. He loves history, reading, and fantasy. So this is a pretty good present for him, especially when it's $40 off. Anyway, let's get back to it. So this Back to the Future Time Machine was a very hard set to get my hands on. Sold out in pretty much all the stores that I would go to. Online, the stock would come in and out, but the prices were fluctuating like crazy. And I kind of get why. This is such an iconic silhouette. We've had 3 or 4 versions of this set before, and the previous $200 version was maybe a lot sleeker than this one, but for $22 is what I paid for this, 357 pieces. 2 minifigs, that's a really great deal. I think the Speed Champion version is perfect for maybe the less serious collectors or the people with smaller pockets, and there's not really that great of a compromise, I think. I watched these 80s flicks for the first time when I was visiting a post pal or whatever it's called in Paris in the early 2000s. I was introduced to Spaceballs.
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
Keep firing, assholes!
Alice Cooper, and the Back to the Future franchise. The movie was hilarious, and the Air Mags that were re-released in 2016 with actual auto lasing were so cool.
Power laces, all right.
We also picked up the 3rd movie on DVD considering my friends in Paris didn't have it. Love the franchise, love the price, and love the set. 2 minifigs, 357 pieces, $22. $28 is the usual retail price, but I picked it up at sale 2 months after it came out. That's very early for such a great deal. The rate that these sales are popping up is kind of crazy, but let's get into this gray and translucent blue time machine. As usual, we're gonna take a look at the box design first. In the front, we got the first scene, I believe, where the DeLorean is used. It's got the hook to capture the lightning, and the tires are beginning to leave its iconic trail of fire. We got the Back to the Future logo, and it seems that Lego is avoiding calling it the DeLorean for some reason. The first version we got was called the DeLorean Time Machine. We get Doc and Marty in the front seat heading into the past. On the top, we got the iconic side profile of the DeLorean. And on the back, we got a super nice little surprise. We got the Back to the Future 2 mod. This is kind of a 2-in-1 experience. This is what Lego used to be all about, alt builds and combo models. The 2000s are kind of almost not back, I suppose. But more of this. This is great. This extends the lifetime that you have with the set, as you can pick some pieces apart and modify the set. With that said, let's pop this bad boy open. I don't really know why I try to save these boxes in decent condition. Once we open the box, we get 5 bags, which feels like a lot of bags for such a small set. But here's the great news. Not that many stickers, which means that most of these pieces are going to be printed, which is great news. The classic standardized instructions, which are really not that fun, but Lego is never going to change that, I think, at this point. The body of the car, and these little rubbery things that go on the side of the car. As always, we're going to start off with bag number 1, but I just can't help but feel like this bag is only like a quarter full, and we could have definitely had bag number 2 and 3 in here. Enough yapping. This is how much is in bag number 1, including the small bags. Opening up the instructions, I find this super neat considering it is a cheaper set, but it has a little bit of that adult treatment where you feel like the instructions are slightly elevated and that you're really respecting what you've purchased. Thank you, Lego. This is actually pretty nice. We're starting off with building Marty. That is a pretty iconic little puffer vest. I feel like for being such a cheap set, you get such iconic minifigs, which I assume it's not maybe rare, but it's quite nice. Michael J. Fox, what an iconic actor. I find it almost a little bit strange that we're building both the minifigs in the first bag. I feel like they should maybe come last, but here we are. Doc's hairline is very receded. 2 iconic and super distinct minifigs. I mean, this is great for being in such a cheap set. Thank you, Lego. That actually is very nice. Okay, let's get into the time machine. Growing up, I was never really a car guy when it came to Lego sets. It was the last thing I wanted to get. There were some cool like vehicles. I got some agent sets that came with cars, I suppose. But I never went out of my way to get like car sets, like the Technic ones, because I feel like that was mostly what was being put out back then. there weren't really any Speed Champion sets the same way that we have today. There were some like racers, but yeah, I was never really into them. And I still wouldn't say that I am. It's just that I feel kind of starved with the Lego sets that are being put out today. There isn't that much that I'm into. This is one of those sets where I feel like if there were a bunch of other opportunities out there of other great sets, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But Lego is the way it is at the moment, and this seemed like the most fun set that I could pick up, considering I have so many nostalgic memories with this set, which is exactly why Lego would put it out. I feel like even Lego is kind of like nostalgia bait at this point. Like, I'm nostalgic for Lego, and then Lego puts out sets that are nostalgic too, so it's like a killing two birds with one stone almost. Like, oh, I'm nostalgic for Lego, oh, and I'm also nostalgic for Back to the Future. Now I'm getting it because I'm super nostalgic. But it's a pretty affordable set, which I think makes the set quite approachable. You're not really spending that much to get that nostalgic kick. So far, I quite like that we're not dealing with that many crazy colors. I really don't like when sets come with colors that just don't belong in the set. I'm excited to see if there are any updated building techniques in this set, because the first set that I got kind of as a comeback to Lego were the Speed Champion sets. And the really fun part with it that made me want to come back to Lego was the updated building techniques, because like, I feel like Lego's almost a design language. Once you have a bunch of pieces, you know how they work and how they fit together. And there were so many new techniques, and that was what I kind of fell back in love with, because it was so clear that within like the decade that had passed, there had been a lot of updates. And yeah, it was really fun to explore. And the snot techniques that are super present in Ninjago are really fun to explore as well. I like that with such a small set, we're still getting a lot of detail, and it really doesn't feel like a compromise. I do think that for the price, these sets are maybe a little bit small in comparison to like the early 2000s, but they're very detailed and they pay attention to the interior, which I don't feel like the early 2000s did. I mean, sets for around this price probably didn't even have one at that point. Printed pieces, always appreciated. That sits there. That's pretty neat. I love this piece usage of using a microphone as a gear stick. They've done it in a lot of other Speed Champion sets. I got my dad the Ford Mustang set a while back, and if this had existed on the shelves at the time, I would have probably gotten him this instead, because the Mustang is pretty darn big, and my dad is not exactly an expert builder, which the set is advertised to. This is a bit more maybe doable for someone who's not a huge Lego fan, which my dad is not. I would get him this as well, but he hasn't built his Mustang yet, so I don't know if he can take on another challenge. And he also got the Keith Haring set, so yeah, he has two big sets that he has to complete before he can get this. Oh my god, studs everywhere. Here we have our first printed piece. That is quite nice, and we get a lot of these. All right, that's bag number one. On to the ridiculously tiny bag number two. Again, we're dealing with such nice colors in this set, which I don't know about you, but when I see these types of translucent and vibrant colors that fit the color scheme, it makes me quite happy. It's a lot of these pieces. Oh, what is this? That's nice. We're getting so many nice printed pieces in this set. Thank you, Lego, for actually, like, I don't know, doing your job. It goes upside down. That is so interesting. What? Yeah, this is exactly why I started buying these Speed Champion sets. They're small, but they're packed with so many smart new building techniques. So if you've been gone from Lego for a while, these are the type of sets that I would recommend to bring you back into the hobby. The Lamborghini Countach, which is up there, was a great reintroduction to Lego for me. And this, just putting these pieces upside down like that, I don't know. I was not doing that as a kid. This is pretty fun. An entire page to do that, wasting precious paper. There's been a bunch of reveals of new Ninjago sets that it feels like it's such a miss with a lot of the Legends sets. Somehow the cheaper sets are the ones that I think personally look great. There's play value, it's value for the money, there's fun little building techniques. And then you have these massive Legend sets that, I don't know, they feel like they come straight out of a convention. And the way they're being marketed with revealing them through LAN videos at first, to me, it's just, this is not the approach of selling me something very expensive.
Today I'm super excited to be showing you another Ninjago Legend set.
If you want to inspire me to buy something expensive, tell me a story. Like, you can't just show me a video of like the designer and expect me to be like, yeah, I need to spend a lot of money because that's who designed it. No, sell me a story that I then can feel inspired to build this set and like play out my own story with. And I get it, they're display sets, but like, yeah, no, I just don't think it's the right marketing tactic for something that expensive. Even for the small sets, you could reveal them in really cool commercials, and that's the first impression everyone has, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. No, it's a vertical video on your phone. That's how you're gonna experience it for the first time.
Swap them around, reconnect them.
But what do I know? I'm just someone who grew up in the early 2000s that went on to study film and took a minor in advertising and branding and then got a certificate in Sweden for art direction. I don't know anything about what I'm talking about. I am also just going to be biased because I think my childhood was awesome. Shout out to Christian Faber. You know how to do it.
One word was never spoken for fear that the legend was true. That word was Bull Rock. 6 breeds unleashed in squads, a threat to the island of Matanui. The Bull Rock carry a hidden secret, a power so strong that even the fate of the Torah is threatened. The power of the Krana. Live the legend at Bionicle.com.
I think it's also such a weak argument when people say like, oh yeah, that was in the past, what are you gonna do about it? Just because it's modern times doesn't mean we have to lower our expectations for what a great product is. And that goes for pretty much everything. I feel like a lot of people make that excuse like, yeah, but it was in the past, like we can't do that today, it's expensive. Lego's making more money than ever. What do you mean it's expensive? They're getting people like Ronaldo, Messi, Mark Hamill, like just for like short marketing assets that no one at all will care about next year. Whereas people are watching Bionicle ads in 2026. And that's because they told a story that resonated with people. Having Mark Hamill in a skit, it's not gonna resonate with people the same way that Mark Hamill's performance did in Star Wars. And Star Wars is telling you a story. This skit is not really that great of a story. I'm rambling, let's get back into the set. There's a lot of blue and red and gray here, which I find very like nostalgic, but for like Lego reasons. That just makes me think of early like TIE fighters from Star Wars and all the amount of blue that they would use, and the red as well. It's nostalgic, but like for a strange reason. I don't know why it's showing up in this set. This for sure reminds me of Agents. There were so many silver pieces like that in Agents. Great theme, one of the last themes that I collected, and yeah, that was just so great. So many fun play features as well. Every single set was a battle in a box, I'm pretty sure. Okay, hopefully this, oh, come on. That's so cool. This set is relatively cheap, but it's packing so many great details that I did not expect to be found. Okay, we got the seats in. Bag 2 was so small, but we're doing so much. Well, that looks really awkward, but I guess we're gonna use some clever building techniques. Are you serious? So we're using an entire page to do that. Is it supposed to be the engine? There's so many small pieces that come together to create such an intricate design for a pretty low price. Another tiny bag, number 3. Are you kidding me? Another printed piece. This set is really the most generous one that I've gotten in a long time with all these printed pieces, which is almost kind of a reason to purchase this set on its own. Getting a premium experience for an affordable price, which maybe is like the Speed Champion line in general. Like they really do feel premium at a low price. Okay, and those go on the sides here and here. Wow, there are so many great printed pieces in this set. Wow, it is so intricate. I feel like I have to recommend this set to absolutely anyone that's looking to do something this or next weekend. This is such a fun little intricate adventure for, again, a pretty affordable price, and it's currently on sale right now in some countries and stores. Are you kidding me? There's so many like small pieces with so much detail here. This counterpart is missing. Paper bags, man. It's always where they end up. Probably the most one-by-one plates that I've stacked together like that. It makes sense now because they're going to be shown like this. And I love that. I want the lights to be translucent. I hate when they're stickers, so that's quite nice. Oh, and of course, we get more printed pieces. If you want to get your dad or a friend something that really gives them like a premium experience for a low price, this is the set. No question about it. It's starting to look like the DeLorean from the back, which is so cool for such an affordable price, and it looks this detailed. I know that you can buy the premium one for $200, but like, what's the point when you have a smaller one like this that's affordable, doesn't take forever to build, and just looks great. So why do we need to have stickers when the second piece that we put here is printed? All right, and these go where exactly? On the side, I guess they do. These small bags are small, but somehow like it really does enhance the experience. So I guess I shouldn't knock the fact that we have these smaller bags because we're getting something super intricate with all these small pieces. Bag number 4. So that goes there. It really is nostalgic using these blue, black, red, and gray pieces because I feel like those were the initial colors of Lego, including yellow, of course, as well. Which I'm starting to wonder if that's part of the design of this set, is even the color scheme internally, the pieces that you don't see, are they meant to kind of trigger our nostalgia as well? It can't be a coincidence. Is this going to be like one of the side panels, considering we got this little like ratchet joint piece at the end? Are all of these here for texture, or will they have a function? This has to be one of the most detailed small sets that I have, and it's so worth the price too. Yeah, I love this, clearly. Another printed piece, which is fantastic to see. And I mean, for a set like this, you really want these details to be like printed onto the piece forever, so you always remember where this piece came from. And it's so nice that in a cheap set like this, you still find those type of details, which, I mean, I don't think you find that generally in Star Wars or Ninjago. It's a lot of stickers. Feel like we're gonna start working on the front now, and I really hope that's the case because, yeah, I kind of want to wrap this up because it's so nice and I want to see what the final result is. Ooh, that gives some nice texture there. And that is bag number 4. Final bag number 5. Oh, and what's that? Another small bag. It's almost as if we could have put the other small bags in bag number 1. That is a nice amount of translucent colors. This is what you want to see. Printed, iconic pieces like this. No stickers, none of that stuff. I mean, look at that. 1 printed piece, 2 printed pieces, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's so many nice printed pieces in this set. I know that I'm probably geeking out over nothing, but like the tile work here, it's just so nice. Let's slap on the windshield. I just gotta say, I haven't built that many of these Speed Champion sets. I built 3 of them, I think. And there has never been a compromise in this set. Never have I built it and felt I didn't get my money's worth, or this building technique didn't really work, or here's a compromise. And that's very impressive to me because that's been most of my experience with like the Star Wars sets or Ninjago, that there's something missing and like this set doesn't really work. But when the entire goal is just to be a car, I feel like they really know how to take on that task. At some point, I would really like to make like a mech, like a Transformers version of the DeLorean. I think that would be really fun, especially with all these translucent pieces. I gotta say, I don't like it when we have stickers for lights, but this set doesn't do that. Oh yes, more translucent pieces. I do wish that this was a printed piece because it's a quite important centerpiece to the car, and I don't have the best hand placement when it comes to things like this. You really gotta pull on it quite tight to get it to go all the way around. Probably not an illegal technique, but that feels very sus. And that goes here. I don't really recall what this is supposed to be. Having these bricks be only connected by one stud feels a little bit sus as well. I guess that's the compromise we gotta take to make a set cheaper. But again, all around good set so far. All right, another one of these sussy adventures. It just feels way too tight. Like we're really stretching what these pieces can be used for. That's literally what it does though. We've come to a stage that is pretty unique, I think, to this set, at least something I haven't experienced before, which is the instruction doesn't take us completely the whole way before we make our own choice. Now we have the choice whether to make the time machine from the second movie or the first, and I think I'm gonna start with the first movie. And I guess this is where the smoothie machine would go, but because we're making the first one, we're putting this little handle at the back. And we are indeed out of time. You gotta have small fingers to make this thing work. Capped off like that. And that's the first edition of the DeLorean Back to the Future Time Machine. As always, before we take a look at the set, let's take a look at our minifigs. Marty McFly looks as good as he can in this puffer vest and dual face print. Doc looks as good as he possibly can as well, with some nice back printing and a dual face print. We're scoring this set based on play value, building experience and building techniques, price and execution. The Speed Champion line isn't maybe the most play value friendly theme. However, with two minifigs and two versions of the DeLorean Time Machine, I feel like it kind of does offer some great play value. You can put Doc and Marty inside of the DeLorean and swoosh it around into your other themes and explore different worlds like Chima or Ninjago or Exo-Force. Actually, that would be probably quite terrifying. Or swoosh them back into the Western theme. My point is, somehow this set actually has some great play value, maybe because of what set this actually is and what the source material comes from. Beyond just having some rolling wheels and a really cool design, I think this might be a 5 out of 5 for play value. Personally, I think it would be very funny to act out Marty and Doc hopping into the DeLorean and then they go back in time to a galaxy far, far away and ended up in the Battle of Naboo. In terms of building experience and building techniques, I was not prepared to like this set as much as I did. I don't know if LEGO put the classic blue, red, and black in here to remind us of early Star Wars, but for me, it totally put me back in my childhood. Not only were the building techniques great, resulting in a very detailed build for an affordable price, but there are barely any stickers in this set and so many printed pieces, resulting in a very premium building experience for a very affordable price. I'm actually blown away at how perfectly they captured the essence of the source material at such an affordable price, especially on sale. In the following week, if you're feeling down or up, I would highly recommend you pick this set up and explore it yourself. 5 out of 5. As I mentioned already, I picked this set on a little bit of a discount, but for the price that it comes in at, I think it achieves everything it sets out to do and even more. Barely any stickers, a bunch of printed pieces, and a variety of clever and highly detailed building techniques. And then we get two minifigs instead of the usual one, and we get an alt model as well. And for the price, I feel like this really exceeds our expectations. 5 out of 5, no doubt. There isn't a set that I built that is so budget friendly, yet it depicts something real perfectly. A generous amount of printed pieces. We get two great minifigs, a variety of printed pieces, and then in the build experience, we also get a second model to make. I don't know what other Speed Champion sets exist out there that achieves this much for the same price as the rest of them. This set achieves everything that it sets out to do, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you, LEGO, for making a great set. Zero hesitation, this is a 5 out of 5 for execution. In the end, we end up with a 20 out of 20, which I think is the most honest score I can give it, considering we get two minifigs instead of the usual one. We get two versions of the DeLorean instead of one. You can integrate the set with your other themes and explore new worlds and kind of rewrite the film. And if you got the old Western sets, well, you know what to do. The building techniques are quite intricate for such a small set, and it ends up being highly detailed too. The price is attainable, and well, the execution, well, clearly this is the Back to the Future DeLorean. I'm super glad that I got this set for myself, and I'm super glad that I wasn't let down. And then it barely has any stickers either. I mean, it's gonna be hard for LEGO to top this one. With the review out of the way, I have a backlog of LEGO sets, which is something I never thought I would be able to say, but here we are. So my question to you is, what are we building next? One Robert Pattinson Batmobile, Batfleck Batmobile, a vintage radio, or the epic droid with STAP, or maybe a vintage camera. On that note, I am super excited to get the Twin Titans from the Ninjago Legends line on June 1st, or whenever it is that that thing releases. What do we do, ladies and gentlemen? What set are we building next? With that said, I now need to go and walk my dog.